through the director's lens, I can have a very different perspective to see life. I think that's why I fall in love with movie theater. A world view or a perspective that I never imagined. Maybe that movie is an animation. It will actually offer a world that we won't be able to have it in our world. Or sometimes it could be an injustice that justify through that movie. Or sometimes it is a question that no one really dare to challenge in real life, but then somehow it was challenged through that movie.
Well, I love the San Gabriel Valley.
Welcome to the My SGV podcast.
So I grew up here and I still live in Alhambra.
I was raised in between Temple City and Alhambra.
Eventually resided in South San Gabriel.
Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley.
Monterey Park has pretty much been my whole life.
Well, I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley.
We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you are from in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome. All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the My SGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new here, welcome. We bring you the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Victoria, actually, I think I know the answer to this question, but have you seen many Broadway musicals?
Yeah, I've seen several. Not on Broadway itself, but like the Pantages here in Hollywood. I've seen some in West End in London. Yeah, they're all very good. I like them. Musicals, not really plays. But yeah.
Oh, I guess that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I only said I knew the answer because I think I've seen when your family goes together, right? Or
yeah.
Maybe the sisters go.
Family usually goes together, but sometimes just like Priscilla goes with us sisters or her friends. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Like that I've seen?
Yeah.
Les Mis was really good. That was really cool to watch. Yeah, mostly I guess like seeing the stage. The music itself is not my favorite musical, but like seeing it and how the stage all worked together, it was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you seen any plays? And I don't even know what distinguishes it, but I guess we'll find out later.
Yeah, I have. Not any like Broadway or not on that caliber, I guess. It was Screw Tape Letters. I've seen that. It was hosted at Irvine, UC Irvine, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like, well, you enjoy those musicals. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were not even on my radar until like maybe the mid-20s. And then somebody I was dating at the time invited me and took me to see Les Mis. And I was like, okay. Like at first I was like, I don't know if this is my thing,
Yeah.
And then I saw it and I was like, wow, I really like this. I like the music, but also I like the everything that was going on stage. Mm-hmm. And so since then, I think I've seen quite a few. The Book of Mormon was very entertaining. The comedy was really good in that. But yeah, I think it's so different from, I guess, like a movie theater experience, right? Yeah, for sure. Well, we're going to get into more of those type of discussions. But before that, I want to thank Paris Baguette for sponsoring the delicious treats every week for our guests. Go check them out in the city of San Gabriel. Once you walk in the door, you'll see all these delicious treats to your left and right. And they also sell cakes. And I think this winter season is like their top time for cakes. But go check them out, Paris Baguette on Las Tunas, and say hi to Jason for us. Today, we welcome an artist whose work blends theater, mentorship, and faith, leaving a powerful mark from Hong Kong to LA. Starting as a theater student, she quickly rose to become a director, writer, and producer with shows that captivate audiences worldwide. Her work has earned major honors, including the Scotsman Fringe First Award at the Edinburgh Festival and the Young Artist Award for Drama from Hong Kong's Art Development Council. Through the Hong Kong Ideation Arts Festival, she supports emerging artists, offering more than a stage. She provides a nurturing platform for them to grow. with productions like Light of Antarctica and her latest Edinburgh hit, A Funeral for My Friend Who Is Still Alive. She brings thought-provoking themes that resonate with audiences everywhere. Join me in welcoming Cathy Lam. Cathy, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we went into a little discussion there about musicals. I could see that you're like nodding your head and you recognize those, huh?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you talk about Book of Mormon. I remember I watched this in London. I remember I watched it by myself, but I just laughed from the beginning to the end. I just can't stop clapping myself like when watching the whole thing. It was so good. The script is so well written. I really love it so much. And then Les Mis, that was a classic. And I don't know how many times I have watched it every time I was in London, because I used to study my master's degree in London. And whenever people come to visit me, I will bring them, oh, let's go to see the Les Mis. And and so that musical is actually a very dear show to me as well. So that's why I was like, I know all these.
Did you like the movie?
Oh yeah, everything. Well, the movie of the song is good. Mm-hmm. Just the song.
Yeah, it's not the same, right? It's not the same.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so curious. This conversation can go so many ways, but first let's start with, what's your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
I grew up from Hong Kong, and I have a very traditional Asian parent. So the very first thing when they want to try to stop me from being an artist, they send me here to Pasadena City College and try to convince me to do things like politics or in finance. And so I first moved into San Gabriel Valley in 2000. And I remember my very first accommodation is in a very far relative's home in San Gabriel. And back then I was like, oh, I'm doomed. Because I think if people are here long enough, you can see like how much different, like right now in SGV, right now, like compared to like 20 something years ago. And somehow like SGV become I think it's like the very first window for me to see outside of Asia. Because back in Hong Kong, I mean, we do travel, but then like back in the days, like travel is not like as easy as what we have right now. And so the farthest we will go with my family is like Japan or some other places. But then somehow this is, when I first land in SGV, I kind of have a cultural shock. And I was like, wow, okay, so this is America. But how come this is so Asian everywhere? I was so nervous. Even I was studying in English school back in Hong Kong, and then I was so nervous. I keep thinking, oh, okay, how much English I have to speak every day, and then end up I speak like zero English here, except the time I was in school. So I was like, wow, everywhere is Chinese, like, or different other languages, and then like the kind of culture shock is not east with miss west, but east miss more east. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's like how SGV like shocked me at the very beginning, but then like the more I live here, SGV actually grow on me, because it became my second home from my home. Like after these many years, I stopped having homesick, because I realized like in SGV they offer me more than I thought, than I imagined, and I can find good Hong Kong food here. I can find a way to find the books that I want to read right here, and I actually also find my community here as well. So yeah, it's actually how amazing how all these years change me as who I am, and also like how I from the feeling like, oh, I'm doomed, to now, well, I was like, well, I'm actually proud of like living here. I love living here.
So you're now like one of us. You're part of this area, right? And what's interesting is like when you live here, you realize everybody is like that, right? Everybody is like coming from different areas, and some people have been here for a long time, but it doesn't matter, right? So much. So take me back to Hong Kong. So you were born and raised in Hong Kong,
Yes.
and what was life like growing up there?
Well, I've been living a life that with a very strict parents. So like, my parents has been, they kind of like planned my whole life, and so we were like according to my mom's plan, we get into the best school in my area, and like every kids in Hong Kong, you have to. I think kind of similar to the Asian community here, that you have to go to like 10, 12 different class after school, and but life is very busy there as well, because like when I feel like growing up, we already exposed to like many different things. I don't know, is it because I live under the British colony, and during that time, I think one thing that I would say from because I think many people from Hong Kong already say the same thing, that we come from a multicultural city. We grow up having like receiving the feeling education. We feel self-okay. As a student there, we have a strict Asian parent. But then one thing I really want to point out when growing up in Hong Kong is I keep thinking about what is my identity. Yeah, because like when I was in high school watching the TV in July 1997, I watched TV like seeing Hong Kong hand over from the British government to the Chinese government, and then I wonder, so who am I? I always wonder, am I the British? It seems not like it. I mean, I do have the British national overseas passport, but the passport only says we can try to live there, but then we are not British national yet. But am I a Chinese national? No. We are if they need us for some reason. And then we are just a city. So since when I was very young, I keep thinking who I am. And I try to ask my parents. I try to read so many different books, and then I just feel like there's something missing for me, like growing up in Hong Kong until I moved here. Yeah. What
sort of activities or friend groups did you belong in at that time?
I do lots of things like with theater related, and I watch a lot of movie. I remember like one summer, it was during my first year of high school. We call it secondary free. So I remember that summer I watched over 45 to 60 movies. Like during that summer vacation, literally I just watched 2 movies every single day. I went to cinema every single day, and then I started falling in love with theater. During my second year of high school, I watched this musical called Yokan Sado. In Chinese, it's Pang Tou Kuang Shan Kou. It is a musical about a baseball team in Japan. And then at that moment, I was like, wow, okay, the stage is a very huge world. It actually embraces so many different things. You can speak so many things that you want. You can voice out who you are, like on the stage, just within one play. So that's the moment I start falling in love with theater, and then somehow after that, my whole life in Hong Kong is all related to theater. I joined theater club. I become the chairman of the theater association in my high school, and then I joined all different acting class. Not just acting, but I fall in love with everything about stage. I learned from how to be a stage manager, all the backstage knowledge, and then I learned how to be a playwright. I learned how to be a director, and that's the reason why my parents want to send me here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like at teenage years you started to fall in love with this, and
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you see 2 shows a day, and like what were your parents thinking about at that time?
Well, because back then when you're a student, the ticket fee is really, really cheap. I think it's almost like $2, $3 per show, and because I have a grandma who spoiled me, so that's why if my parent doesn't let me to go to cinema, I will ask my grandma if she can give me some allowance, and then I'll just sneak out, because back then both of my parents, they need to work. So that's why I will be in at my grandma's place, and I still have to go to to see the tutor every morning from Monday to Friday during the summer vacation. But after that, my grandma, I mean, she doesn't care where I go as long as those activities is healthy. As long as I'm not with the gang or anything. So I told her I really want to go to cinema to see movies. And then at that time she was like, well, there's no harm to see a film. It's better than not knowing where did you go. So then she would give me some allowance, and then I would just go to movie theater to see films every day. I know it's not that much film coming out every single week, but then for some reason I just managed to maybe see 2, for some really, really good film I will see 2 times. I remember for Titanic, I think I watched 6 times.
Victoria's mouth is open. I like that movie too, but I don't know, I could see it 6 times in theater.
Well, because I was a big fan of Leonardo at that time. Every girl was his huge fan. But then, yeah, that was some crazy time for me. If you ask me, can I do that again? Probably not. But back then, I was like, because I feel like the movie or the theater, I can find my answer there for things that I question, or I can through the director's lens, I can have a very different perspective to see life, and I think that's why I fall in love with movie theater, whatever it is. I just want them to come amaze me, come surprise me.
What you're getting from that is just to experience different things that you would never get to experience, or what are you looking for what are you getting from that every time?
Just a different life that is different from what I'm having right now, and also sometimes maybe a world view or a perspective that I never imagined that I can see in that way. And also even I can see, or even maybe that movie is an anime, and it will actually offer a world that we won't be able to have it in our world. But then somehow, if that kind of world fulfill in that movie, and then somehow it is a comfort for me, or sometimes it could be a just injustice that justify through that movie, or sometimes it is a question that no one really dare to challenge in real life, but then somehow it was challenged through that movie. So it's many, many different things. as long as it's different from what I understand or different from the world that I was nurturing at. Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like it was like an escape.
Yeah, you can say as escape, but I will also think it is also like an exploration for new things. Yeah.
I learned somewhere that there's only like a handful of the same type of stories, and the movies that I gravitate towards and like are friends becoming enemies, teacher student, and justice being served. Like if those are the themes in the movie, then I really like those. and they're like, I only remember those moments in those movies because of how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
So if I'm describing a movie, it's really one of those things at some point in the movie rather than the storyline. That really gets me. But okay, so grandma was all with you going there. She's funding this effort, and you're really into it. You go all in, and your parents see it, and they try to put a stop to it.
Yeah. And they still trying to stop me right now.
Right now?
Yeah, after that many years.
Oh no, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I also get why they are doing that, because for them, like, being a theater artist is never a real job to them. Because my dad is a businessman, and somehow, like, my mom's background, like her upbringing makes her believe that, money is very important. So she want me to have a better life. She want me. That's why they send me and my sister here to study, get a good degree, and they want us to get a good job, to get a job with a high income job, like many Asian parents want us to have. And for her, she feel like artist is not something stable, and especially because I have a baby daughter now, like, all she can think of is like, oh, can you offer what we offer you to your baby?
That feels not good to hear.
I know, but I don't blame them as well. But then sometimes, sometimes it feels hurt,
Did you respond like, yeah, I can be there for her, and I'm very supportive of what she loves, and I'm going to, help her to reach her dreams? I'm just joking.
No, because my husband is Caucasian, so then maybe for them they have a very different mindset. So then when my mom tried to talk to my husband and hope that he can actually convince me to not doing this, my husband is actually very supportive, and then told my mom, that's her passion, that's what she is really good at. I'm actually very proud of her. And because of having such supportive husband, it makes me feel like, okay, it kind of like offset what I heard from my parents, because it's all that matter that my life partner, that he supports me, and he also, like, sometimes it's easier for the son-in-law to tell the parents that it's fine, she's doing whatever she feel good to do, just let her. And it's not me saying I promise you, but my husband will say, I promise you that we will try to give a very good life to our baby. But I will never try to tell my parents that, I will try my best to give a good life to my daughter, because my mom will ask, so how are you going to make that money? But then I think we all have our way to live a life that is perfect for us, but how to define what is perfect, I think it really depends on different people's context. So if my context is different from her context, I think it's okay. As long as I feel like I am having a life full of joy and love, then I'm fine with it.
Well, you have a lot more patience and grace than me. I mean, I understand that. I believe that also. But there's like when you start to impose your thing on me, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like I understand. You can believe whatever is good for your life. But it's yeah. So so there must have been a conversation that came in when they're like, okay, we see this thing and now we're gonna try to put an end to it and send you to America.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
I think at the very beginning I feel devastated because I still remember the day when my parents told me you were going to America. It was like I came back from study room, like because we have these study room in the public library that people go there and then they go there and study. So I remember I came back from the library that day, and then that was a Saturday. I still have exam like on the coming Monday. Then when I stepped inside the house, my parents said, "You're going to America." I was like, "Wait, what? When?" And then they were like, "According to the letter, you have to arrive like in a week or two." At the very beginning, I was like, "Oh wow, yes!" Then I don't have to take the exam. But then when I try to calm down myself, I was like, "Wait, I don't have time to say goodbye to my friends." And so just in 2 weeks, I go back to my high school and then trying to do all the exit applications. Say I have to leave, and I don't know how my emotion was. I just know that okay, I have to leave. I have to do this. I have to go to the U.S. consulate to get my student visa, and then I think right after I land in America, and then when I was in my own bedroom, that was the time I start feeling really sad, and I feel like my life, just like I said, I feel like my life is doomed. I'm here, and I don't have a friend here, and not even a family here. And I start calling my mom, ask my mom, "Can I go home?" And then they were, "No, you will be there. It will be good for you. This is the life that we plan for you. You will have a good life, like studying in the U.S." Yeah, I think that's how I feel. Like, I was only 16, 17 years old, and then I came here all by myself. Yeah, so.
That must have been tough.
Oh, yeah. Thinking back, I think I still have that emotion feeling. I still have that lonely emotion if I think back the moment that I tried to call my parents. Yeah, yeah.
I guess like in Chinese business school, they don't teach like, to get buy-in from your team members that you should consult them first on how something goes. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make a joke with that, but I mean, usually things go better when you involve the people involved, right? And say, "What do you think about this?"
I know, but that's not the case.
Yeah. I mean, I'm making a joke, but wow, that's really tough. That's a young age, and to be, in a brand new country, no friends and no family. And was there someone who helped or came along and guided you in this time, or where did you get support from?
So I was staying in this, like, we call it far relatives home that I never met, and so literally they're a stranger to me. I think at the very beginning they will give me a ride to here and there, and then but like raised as an Asian kid, we always been taught, try to learn as much as possible, as quick as possible, so you won't waste people's time, so you won't trouble people that much. So that's why I remember, like, after 2 to 3 months, I told them, you don't have to give me a ride anymore. I'll try to take the bus But like, we all know the bus system here. I only have to travel through San Gabriel Boulevard and then go all the way to Colorado Boulevard. But then from San Gabriel to Pasadena City College, it takes me almost like 90 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
By bus.
Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah, and
It usually should be like a 15-minute drive.
I know, right? And then when I think back, I almost get myself into a very dangerous situation. So I was like at the bus stop waiting for the bus. That was like my last because I'm already at the corner of Colorado Boulevard and San Gabriel Boulevard. And then a man pulled over. An old man asked me, I saw you like standing at that bus stop for a while. Do you need a ride? And I was like, at that moment I was like, I don't know what was I thinking. I was like, yeah, sure, because I was waiting there. It was hot, a sunny day. And then so I hop on to his car, and at the beginning, and then he grabbed my hand, and then start like
caressing your hand.
Yes. And then I was like, what is going on here? I was 17. I was legal to this country. And then my head started thinking about, oh my goodness, is he some serial killer? And then I keep trying to find something in my mind to try to make up an excuse so then I can get off of his car. And I was like, oh yeah, I actually just live one block away. I was so lazy, so that's why I don't want to walk there. That's why I wait for my bus. And then then he asked me, who are you living with? I was like, I'm living with my boyfriend. Okay, my boyfriend is a cop. Because of this sentence. And then he was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can just drop you off here. And I was like, yeah, you just drop me off here, then I can just walk home by myself. So I get off his car, and I just keep walking. I walk another 20 minutes, and then I'm home. When I finally sit down, and then we think of the whole situation, of what just happened, and I was like, wow, okay, glad that he let me off. Yeah. Or I don't know where am I today.
Yeah. It's not that you almost got into a dangerous situation. You were in a dangerous situation.
Yeah. And then when I told my friend, they were like, okay, you're in theater, but you don't, your life doesn't necessarily to be that dramatic. I was like, oh yes.
Wow. That's scary.
Yeah, I know.
Gosh. So that happens when you're here. I mean, driving you to school, shouldn't be a burden on someone, right? But you decide that you're going to take that off their hands. And have you given up on theater at this point, or were you still determined to pursue it?
I think I thought about giving up because I feel like back then I felt like, okay, my parents, they spent a lot of money for me to come to study. Maybe I can try to study something that they want me to. So actually, at the beginning, I declared my major as economics. So I try. It's not like I don't do good at my class, but I just don't like it that much. So I start exploring some other thing. I start exploring social science because I think this is something close enough to theater, because for me, theater is like you are giving a second life to live on the stage once again. And theater is all about human, about society, about what is your take on the things that you observe. So that's why I try social science. And then after I took classes about social science, I keep thinking, I really want to do theater. So that's why I start taking some theater class in my college. And at the end, I decided maybe I should do a minor in theater. I mean, at least it's a minor, not major, and somehow I fulfill what my parents want for me, but then I have to take extra class to graduate anyway. I have to take GE anyway, so I use all my GE to take theater class, and yeah, since then I just don't want to give up. But then somehow, because in between I have a few years in Hong Kong, I did give up right after I graduated from college, because I need a job. Yeah, because it's so, especially, it's quite interesting, like, because if in Hong Kong, if you are not graduate from Hong Kong Academy of Performing Arts, if even you have a degree or a major or minor, it doesn't matter in theater. They don't consider you as an insider. So it's really hard for me to get a job back in Hong Kong. But in here, it's even harder, because back then, I'm an Asian. I'm not a native speaker. It is even harder for me to get a job here too. So for the first 1 or 2 years, I gave up theater. I work in fashion industry. But then after that, I was like, no way. I just can't. I really want to do theater. So then I finally start working in the theater industry in 2007.
Just in the course of this conversation, when you have spoken about watching movies twice a day, or your whole face lit up. And then when you talk about like doing the education that you like didn't really like you're like this, and then when you're talking about theater, and your whole body language changes. And I can't imagine for my children, my daughters, to see that and not recognize it, to see what makes them happy. That's, like, as a parent, you want your kids to be happy, I think, at least I do, like, to truly be happy. And, so I can see that in you, Okay, so you came back to theater again.
Yeah, I came back. I feel like I have not enough, and then I know what I lack is network back in Hong Kong. So I start joining this acting class, having this mentor in Hong Kong. I think he's one of the very best theater maker in Hong Kong, and I felt very lucky to be able to be one of his students. And even I'm not working with him anymore right now, but then back then, he's one of those mentor that gave me opportunities that actually opened my world, my knowledge of what is real theater, what does theater means, what can theater do, and what is the ethics of being a theater makers, how your work can pursue social justice, can pursue humanity issue, can pursue things that you never think that you can reach. So I think that in between 2007 to 2011, that's the very critical period for me to develop as a theater maker. Who am I as a theater maker now? Like that period of time is very important for me. Yeah, and I'm happy. I'm actually proud of myself that I actually go back to theater at that moment. Yeah.
It sounds like he was a pretty influential person to you.
Oh yeah, yes, but we don't talk anymore. Yeah.
Like there was a falling out?
Yeah. Long story short is, I think, there's some people that they can be a good teacher, but it is hard to work together, and somehow there's something that I don't agree with, and somehow, and I think it is also the time for me to try to create something that really belongs to me, or create something that I really believe in, instead of like creating something like someone believe in which you don't believe in. So I think there's a lot of reason why I start my own theatre company, and also a lot of reason why we don't talk to each other anymore. Sometimes we'll bump into each other in theatre or in Fringe Festival. I will still nod my head when I see him. Yeah, but yeah, it's just like a friend. It's not like I mean I don't hate him. I no longer have bad feelings. But it's just like a friend you used to be, like you used to hang out a lot, but at some point, people grow up, people change, then they just walk in different direction. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you said somewhere in there, he taught you what like theater means, but what does theater mean to you?
For me, I think theater is, I think theater for me is a place that I can freely to voice out what I see, what I feel, how I feel. It's a world that I can try to pursue the ideal world at, or it's a world that I can question when I see injustice, when I see something wrong in my world. Because most of my play, I always ask the question, who am I? Who are we in this world? Or how is our relationship with the world that we are living in? And how justice is being, because I've been, when we read the news, or even when I was in Hong Kong, I see so many injustice. And there are so many questions that I try to explore and answer maybe. But then, so theater, it become a platform for me to question those questions. It become a platform for me. I'm not trying to find an answer, but at least for me to put a question there, to put the observation that I have there, that try to create a dialogue in between me with and the audience through my play, and or maybe bring up some issues that is like being ignored for a long time, that I want those issues be seen again. Like one of my plays called Smoking with Grandma. It is about the immigrants in the refugees in during the 40s and 50s. They, because of the civil war in China, the refugees who is the members of Kuomintang, they moved to Hong Kong. Many people actually don't know about that history. That's a bunch of Kuomintang refugees. They actually reside in Hong Kong, waiting for the Taiwanese government to send them back to Taiwan. But that never happened. And somehow I have a chance to read books about these refugees, and I found it very interesting to know. I try to understand how they feel. I try to understand this community, because before 1997, in every year, on October 10th, which is the National Day of Taiwan, you will see, like, on this island of Tokingland, they have all these Taiwan flag, like, hanging all over the island. It actually become a tourist attraction back then. People will go there and see. And then somehow these people, until the day they pass away, they have been wanting the Taiwanese government to take them back. But many of them that just died there without going back to Taiwan. So I saw the documentary of that, and I was like, oh, okay. I wanna know about who they are. I wanna know why they become refugees. I wanna know why both government in Hong Kong and Taiwan, they didn't try to handle these issues. So that's why I put it in my play, and then I put it in my play in the stage and let the audience to try to know who they are. And then I hope their story once again being told and seen. But I never try to impose anything. But then I just love telling story, and then this is one of the story that I like to.
It's often that children who have experienced lots of injustice become adults who seek justice, or in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that you were witness to lots of injustice in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Can you share some of that?
Well, I mean, during 2014, you all know we have an umbrella movement in Hong Kong.
What movement?
Umbrella movement. Umbrella.
Umbrella?
Yeah.
Umbrella, okay.
Yeah, so it is a movement like they try. It's a movement that started from like the government tried to impose the national education, and then somehow people was like, no, we don't want national education program, because I know many countries they do have the national education program, but then it's just very different, because the national education program that Hong Kong government try to impose is to make sure that we love the party, the Communist Party, not about like loving the country, nothing about that. So from brainwashing, like from anti-brainwashing education, and then somehow it keep developing into a movement like all the university students, they occupy on the street, they camping on the street. And then I'm seeing like back then the government start using tear gas, start using pepper spray, and you see that's the very early prototype, I may say, like seeing how the police might be using against the student back then. And then like all the way to 2019, when they're trying to impose this extradition law, which is like the government trying to they're trying to through this law they want to change the how to extradite criminal from foreign country to Hong Kong, and somehow it becomes another student movement, and many issues, political issues, just came out on the table. People just and then it become so-called. It become a very it become a crazy political. I won't say it's crazy. It become, I think, one of the most critical, important political movement in the Hong Kong history, that most of the people in Hong Kong, we finally feel like, we need to do something. We no longer, we don't want to, because we are so afraid of, because we see what happened to the political system. We see like things already changing. We see the legislative council, they're already changing. We are afraid that Hong Kong will eventually become China. So then somehow we see how the police is how they deal with students, and then how many church workers have been like working in cases about students involving this movement, and then not to mention all the violence, the rape, and all the things happened during the movement. And then I even have friends who work as a journalist that they were being arrested, and like all things that could happen in the political movement, you name it, it happens there. So and also like growing up because I mentioned my dad was a businessman, I see how his business, like I remember there were like a few times that his warehouse was being confiscated for no reason in China, and then they will make up all these reasons to make you pay. So then you have to pay for that to get your stuff back, but for no reason. The only thing that I can think of is that, okay, maybe for them it's time for them to get some money. So then they will just go to the business owner to confiscate that stuff and just ask for a bail. So I think everything add up. And then when I was young, watching the TV, seeing what happened in June 4th, 1989, and the next day when I went back to school, teacher gave us a list of songs. They said that, there's no class today. All we have to do is just like staying in the student hall. And then they tell us, even I was only in primary school, but then they would try to tell all the students. I was like 8, 9 years old. They try to explain what is happening in Beijing. And then they saying, I saw all the teachers, they were like having tears, crying. I was too young to understand what happened. I understand what is it many years ago. So growing up as a kid, a teenager, and as a young adult in Hong Kong, like you see how things change in Hong Kong and how the political climate change. It kind of developed who I am nowadays. And then somehow I remember when people used to say, you think if you don't touch politics, you will be fine. But no, one day you will realize, even you don't touch politics, but then because of all the injustice or everything that surround you, politics will come to find you in their own way. And then right now I sort of understand what does that mean, and then it kind of like reflect on my play. I'm not trying to impose a stance in my play, but I try to put all my questions there, and then I want people to see, like maybe you want to stay away, but how about try not be a bystander, try to be a listener to see what is happening surrounding you.
The date you gave is for Tiananmen Square, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I vaguely remember watching that on TV, I think. Yeah. Before we go on with your story, we ask each guest to bring an item with them.
Yeah.
What did you bring with you today?
Oh, okay. So I bring this series of book called the Age series by Wang Xiaobo. So this is my favorite book of all time. So Wang Xiaobo is a Chinese writer. Through these 3 books, he tried to question what does it mean by identity, and also he tried to talk about his take on how authority and power treats people's desire, and treats people's personality, and treats the humanity in general in this book. So when I read this book, it really changed my perspective, changed the way how we imagine who am I as a Chinese in Hong Kong, or as a Chinese in general, And yeah, so it is very important for me, and it still affects me as an artist of who I am right now, because the way he wrote also changed the way how I write as well. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for bringing that in. Before we go on with your story, we're going to just take a quick break here, and we'll be right back.
Sometimes, even the best of us can slip up. That's why the law offices of Scott Wormuth are here to pick you back up again.
And while they strive to get you the biggest compensation possible, oh my gosh!
Their main concern is your health and recovery. They work closely with doctors and insurance companies to make sure you get the proper medical treatment.
Initial consultations are free, so give them a call.
At the law offices of Scott Wormuth, we're with you all the way.
I'm Scott Wormuth. We've been fighting for your rights for more than 40 years.
All right, we're back with Cathy. Cathy, when we come back from the break, we like to ask a question from this deck of cards called Icebreakers. And I was laughing earlier because of what the question is and what you just shared. So here we go. The question is, what book has made the biggest impact on your life?
Well, the series, the H series by Wan Xiaobo.
Yeah, I would guess so. Victoria, what book has made the biggest impact on your life?
Probably the Bible. I'm a Christian, so I believe what the Bible says is true in there. So I try to live my life by the Bible, the Word of God.
So, I mean, I think in a general sense, that's probably true for me as well. But a book that I have read, it's probably Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Oh. He's an FBI hostage negotiator. Mm-hmm. And I came to him in a time of uncertainty. Actually, a Google search brought him to me because he said that uncertainty is like the worst human thing to experience. And he says that both the hostage and the families of the hostage are both experiencing uncertainty. Mm. And so I came across that, like, I wasn't looking for that, but that book is pretty, I still think his strategies in communication and negotiation are quite powerful. But yeah. If you're watching or listening, what book has made the biggest impact on your life? Let us know. Sorry, the time has sort of gotten away from us, and I didn't realize it had, we've gone so far. I do want to get into one part of your story that you had shared with me. I think it was like maybe a dark time in your life, and like you are also a pastor. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you touch on that story?
Yeah. I think the darkest time of my life is like right after I became a Christian.
The darkest time?
Yes. Like many people will ask why you still want to be a Christian. Like when your darkest time is after you convert to a Christian. Well, that was the time that I actually so after I became a Christian, when I was like working in Shanghai for this production, I suddenly I have this mini stroke, and so like half of my left hand side from head to shoulder, I can't move at all, and I remember it was so scary because when you like everyone learn about the hospital system in China, like you have to pay first, and then I still remember the time when I went into this hospital. The very first thing the doctor said is, "Oh, too bad. You are a girl. You're a woman. Now your head to shoulder you can't move. How can you find a husband?" Or how? I was like, dude, just try something. I don't care if I'm a woman, but try to find a way to help me. So and then after 1 week, I went back to Hong Kong. I went to this hospital, and then I see this doctor. He's a neurosurgeon, and then we did a thorough check, and then he told me like, Miss Lam, you're 60 to 70% of your nerve of this side is dead. What's that? And I was like, so what does that mean? He said, well, if you are young, like you might take shorter period to heal, but since you're over 30 years old, but then like it might take very long time for you to heal, or you might not be healed. So at that moment, I'm not able to articulate some word. My mouth is always drooling. I have to use a bandage to cover my left eye because I cannot close my eye back then. When you walk on the street with the sun right there, like it will hurt your eyes. So I need to cover my eyes. And I was out of a very abusive marriage. It's like nothing violent, but it's a very verbal abusive relationship. So at that moment, I was like, okay, I was divorced. I because of that relationship, I thought that I don't deserve to be loved, and my family kind of blame me for that relationship because in a very traditional Chinese family, they will always blame that maybe it's the woman's fault, so that you get a divorce. They never thought how my life was with my ex-husband, and then because as a theater artist, I cannot articulate any word. Somehow I look weird, and I think without God, I think I would take my life, But then I think because he knew that I can handle all these, so that's why right before that, he took me back. I still remember, in 2014, I was doing this production. I invite a pastor to be my actor. So then, before the opening, this pastor also become my mentor in the future. Later on, he brought this intercessor team to come to my theater, my venue, and then to pray for us. I remember in that prayer, when he laid hands on me, I heard a voice said, "It's time to come home, Cathy." I thought I was crazy. And then I keep crying. And then after the prayer, I didn't mention anything what I just experienced. But then he told me, an intercessor told him, that God is going to take away everything that you think is important. He will take away. But then he will reward you the double happiness. So then you won't remember one single thing that caused from all the one single thing that he's taking away from me. And then I remember when I had all these things happen, my partner in the theater production, she asked me, okay, my working partner, she said, "What do you want now?" I said, "Please call my church back in Hong Kong. I want them to pray for me." So I don't know if I will be healed because the doctor told me I won't. But then they just keep praying, and I pray because I believe that, if nothing can do scientifically, then all I have to do is depends on God, I mean, of course, I did physiology. I did go to see physiologists. I do massage. I do acupuncture. I do whatever I can think of. But then, out of God's grace, just in 6 months, I'm totally recovered. All my nerve is healed. I'm 100% okay. And then I still remember sitting in the doctor's office, and then he told me, "You're a Christian, right?" I don't know how this happened. But if I can only give you one explanation, I would say that's God's miracle. And and then I bounced back from my darkest moment.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I want to quickly go back to something you said earlier. You said you sort of downplayed that the abuse was not physical, and not just for you, for everybody listening and watching, that it's equally as bad. And sometimes the physical would have been better because there's proof, right? But all forms of abuse are meant to control, whether it's emotional, mental, psychological, financial, and the effects are the same. So I hope you can know that just because it wasn't physical doesn't mean that it was not bad. Thanks for sharing that story with us. It's sort of difficult to transition into something light now after that, but wow, what a miracle. Yeah. So, Cathy, we are, in the interest of time, going to move on to the final segment of the show, and we get to learn a little bit more about what you like in the San Gabriel Valley. And I have a prediction that there's going to be some food involved, so hang on. All right, Cathy, this is the SGV3. We ask you to share your 3 favorite or most memorable places or experiences in the San Gabriel Valley. So you look like you're ready to burst. So here we go. What's number 1?
Number 1 is all the Vietnamese restaurant in general in SGV, because I remember the first time when I tried the pho, I was like, wow, why I don't have these in Hong Kong? Because in Hong Kong, you cannot find one single good Vietnamese food. And then when I first tried it, I literally just bring everyone who come to visit me here. I was like, no, I have to take you to this restaurant. You need to try it. And then since then, everyone who come from Hong Kong, who come here to visit me, the very first thing they request is, I need Vietnamese food here. And then the second one is the Kingstone bookstore. It actually helps me heal my homesick a lot back in the days, because this bookstore can find all the Hong Kong magazine that I used to read, can find the books that I love, and even I mentioned I don't need to use English, but I do want to read Chinese. So then this is the place I always find my comfort there. And the third place is Pasadena in general. Well, because this is like where I start my school there, and even later on I transfer to UC Irvine. I still come back to Pasadena because they have so many. This place has so many to offer. Huntington Library, Northern Simon Museum. You know, all the you can find the best variety of food and best restaurant there, because I'm a foodie. And then every time I want to like go on a day back then, go to Old Town Pasadena. And I remember like before 2018, when I thought about, because I was called to seminary back then, so I thought about, okay, if I want to move back to the States, I wanna settle down in Pasadena. I wanna live in Pasadena, and end up I went to Fuller in Pasadena, and then my husband proposed, and then so I settled in the U.S. I thought about moving to Europe after the seminary, but then end up I settled down here because he proposed, and then we actually built a family in Pasadena. I gave my baby in Pasadena Huntington Hospital. So yeah, Pasadena is very dear to me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Cathy. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So can do Instagram at CL Arts Collective. Also have a website with the same name as well.
CL Arts Collective.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your story with us, Cathy. Really appreciate it. Wow, there was a lot of different directions that conversation went to. And here you see someone who understood their passion and sort of, had to dim that light, and it still just burned bright inside of her. And eventually she ended up pursuing it. I always think that that's beautiful. I think that people doing what they love is so much more powerful than, trying to be good at something that they don't really like. You're going to be great at what it is that you love and have a passion for. And I think you're going to be happier and you're going to produce better results, and people are definitely going to see it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I sure did. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. And don't forget to like and share. If you want to check out more of our content, go to our website, mysgv.net. And if you want to become a contributing member of the show, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon under MySGV Podcast. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us on the MySGV Podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Scott Wormuth, directed by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers, and original music by Yone OG. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice matter. No kind of matter.